was sitting out on the step, you know.
Ain't nothing to it. So what you gonna do around this year, man? I'm gonna go over here, man, and give this brother a little rap, man, see what his head is all about. I'll be right back.
Today's video lesson is a brief look at the downhill riding position and how we can use it to help improve our stability and balance on the bike, giving us more control and allowing us to ride at faster speeds and tackle more difficult terrain. This video is aimed at novice to expert riders. By simply taking the information from this video and applying it to your riding level, you'll be improving your skills in no time. This video is split into 3 parts. Part 1, what is a good downhill riding position? Part 2, how to adapt that position according to your body type and the terrain situation. And Part 3, looking at some common errors and how to correct them. Today we're going to focus on your riding position and balance on the bike. This is a fundamental skill and helps build you up towards everything else you do in mountain biking. Whether it's cornering, drop-offs or jumping, if you're positioned and balanced on the bike correctly, everything else is going to be easier. Imagine a skateboarder trying to learn tricks. If he's not balanced and centered on the skateboard, it's impossible to ollie or learn any kind of trick. It's exactly the same on the mountain bike. We need to be centered and relaxed so that we can make the bike turn, we can lift the front wheel, unweight the rear wheel, whatever it is we need to do according to the demands of the trail. But remember that all the tips and techniques we talk about today, they can be translated to any time you're riding downhill, whether it's on a downhill bike like this, or whether it's on a cross-country ride on a cross-country bike. Here are the key points for what a correct downhill riding position should look like to help you maintain stability and balance as you ride. Although this riding position is easy on gentle and flat terrain, the trick to improving this skill and therefore developing your riding is being able to hold that position as your speed and the terrain difficulty increase. Indeed, this is something even elite level riders can still work on. Take a look at some more riding to get a clear idea of what a correct downhill position looks like. Notice the head above the stem, the hips above the feet, elbows and knees out and flexed. So this riding position improves our stability and balance by keeping our center of mass, our body weight, closer to the center of our base of support, the imaginary line between the 2 contact points of the tires on the ground. By doing this, this improves our stability. And the more stable an object is, the easier it is to remain balanced. So in biking terms, this means if we want better control over the bike, we need better balance. If we want better balance, we need better stability. So everything in downhill riding relies largely on your ability to stay in a good position to maximize your stability. Shorter riders generally have a lower center of mass, so they can adopt a slightly more upright stand position on the bike. A more upright riding position can also offer any rider more range of movement when it comes to using their arms and legs as suspension. Because taller riders have a higher center of mass, they need to adopt a lower, more crouched position over the bike to maximize their stability. This lower position can be an advantage for any rider where more stability is needed. Try and think of your body position on the bike as a neutral or default position that you should be in most of the time as you ride. However, as you know, the terrain and your speed are constantly changing as you ride downhill, so inevitably you'll have to move forwards and backwards, left to right over the bike to deal with whatever the terrain is throwing your way. In other words, it's okay to move your weight backwards and forwards over the bike. For things like front wheel lifts, drop-offs, manuals, bunny hops, you're going to have to do that. But if you have a neutral centered position to return to, you'll always be able to recover, maintain your stability and balance of control on the bike. For example, watch how I change into a lower position as I go through this corner to help me improve my stability and therefore ability to make the corner at speed. Now watch as this rider moves his body position towards the rear of the bike as he puts his brakes on to control his speed down this steep rocky section. Then at the bottom, as the terrain flattens out and he eases his brakes off, he recenters his weight. Now watch as I ride the same section, but at a faster speed, with little to no brakes. To improve my stability, I get lower and try to stay more centered, so I can ride the same section with more speed, but still stay in control. Conversely, watch how I ride this section with no drops or no significant gradient changes, where I'm simply trying to maintain a strong centered position over the bike. That way I can ride this section with good speed and flow. The common error people make is they ride with their hips and therefore their weight too far back. Wherever your hips go, your weight goes. Having your weight too far back makes for a very unstable riding position. Hitting a bump in this position will cause your hips to be moved further back and further down, causing even more instability. So there's a couple of ways to help get you more centered on the bike. Ride along and lock out your arms and legs straight, and then just slightly flex them. That puts you in a great natural position centered on the bike. Another way to find a correct centered position over your bike is to bounce up and down. If your hips are over your feet and you're centered, you should be bouncing the front and rear suspension evenly. If you're centered on the bike, you should be able to have a relaxed but firm grip on the bars. If your weight's too far back, you'll be gripping too tightly and you'll get hand fatigue pretty quickly. So watch out for that sign as you're trying to find a good position on your bike. Another common error that people make is riding with their knees into the frame and/or their elbows into their body. This is what we call a weak riding position, in that the terrain and/or the bike can quite easily knock you off your center position, reducing your stability and control. Keeping your elbows out and your knees shoulder width apart will put you in a much stronger position over the bike, meaning it will be harder for the terrain or your bike to knock you out of position and therefore off balance. So in summary, a good body position will help keep you centered and low on the bike, maximizing your stability and therefore your bike control. Keep it fun, go out and ride loads and find a body position that works for you best. We'll see you on the trails.